Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the Microsoft Copilot Reimagined webinar. Today's webinar is going to be a very interesting webinar because we're going to be deep diving into the new release of Copilot, the Claude-Powered reasoning, the Cowork, and the enterprise agents that are currently available within the Copilot stack. It's a joint webinar between Microsoft and X3Tech Group, and we're going to start with the speakers and with introduction so that you get to know the speakers and who will be speaking on which area. And I'll be going through the agenda and we'll take it forward. Again, thank you all for joining, and we're looking forward for a fruitful webinar. Eric, if you want to start with introducing yourself, please go ahead and we'll take it forward.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jason, and X3Tech team for inviting me to this very important webinar. So my name is Eric Mondéan. I am Chief Partner Architect at Microsoft, based in Dubai. So my role is to help customers and partners in the region to leverage AI for their employee productivity. Right?
Thank you, Eric. So my name is Rabi Nahed. I'm part of the data and AI consulting team at X3Tech. My specialty is in Copilot, and a pleasure meeting everyone. And I hope it'll be a fruitful webinar for all attendees.
Thank you, Eric and Ray. I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Jason. I had the data and AI security advisory practice within the group. I joined in 2 years back from Accenture and KPMG, and looking forward for this webinar. In this webinar, we're going to be touching on different areas. Initially, we're going to start with the new future of work and an opening reality check, where we are. And then we're going to go to what has changed throughout this year from a Copilot perspective, because Copilot has evolved throughout the last couple of months with Anthropic models and Claude embedded reasoning. We're going to see how it has changed. Then we're going to talk about consuming AI in a responsible and secure manner and the new risks that have arisen with AI, including chaos and shadow AI. Then we're going to talk about governing your AI capabilities and how Agent 365 would support with this governance and protection and controls, and how organizations are deploying AI agents. And then we have a 40 minutes demo on the new features of Copilot and the Claude-Powered reasoning. Of course, please, any questions that you have, don't hesitate to type it in the chat. The team are here. We're going to be tackling those questions on the go. And at the end, we have a section for questions and answers. All right, let's deep dive directly into it. I'm going to give a quick background just on who is X3Tech and then hand over to Eric. So X3Tech Group is a global company headquartered in UAE. We have offices in KSA in Riyadh. We also have offices in UK covering Europe and UKI. We also have an office in Austin, Texas that covers the night region of EMEA, Europe and Middle East. And as a group, we are advanced specialized in various pillars. We were the first data and AI advanced specialized partner in the Middle East. We also have a very specific credential, which is a frontier partner. A frontier partner is a partner that has all the advanced specialization, and we were the first to get this frontier partner. And of course, as well, we have capabilities around advisory, implementation, customer success hub, and technology and innovation. As a group, we have more than 200,000 customer seats served on the cloud and more than 1,000 global clients. We serve different industries and sectors. We also have done this for various organizations, but I will not dwell on who have we done this with to focus on the webinar. As a group, again, we have different capabilities: implementation, advisory, activation, change management, and of course, customer success. And when it comes to data and AI, we have this specialization, and Copilot is one of our frontier technologies that we use to transform organizations in their AI journey. Eric, I'm going to hand over to you to tell us about the frontier transformation and the new reality. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Jason. So I'm just going to ask you to kind of manage the slide for me, if you don't mind.
Indeed.
So we're going to start the
No
first slide.
worries.
So the first slide is really about, from just the frontier transformation. It's very important for all of us on the call to really understand where we are today, right? So we went to different transformations. It was digital transformation was one of them, moved to the cloud. And then we have the AI transformation that ChatGPT actually started. And now we move beyond just AI transformation to what we call frontier transformation. Frontier transformation is where we start seeing company actually delivering real business outcome through the use of frontier of AI tools. So a few numbers, next slide. So the frontier transformation introduced the concept of having intelligence on demand, intelligence on tap. So intelligence today is basically a commodity that any organization can actually use and leverages. So the frontier firm are the company that leverage that intelligence the best. What those frontier firms are saying is that we need to start bringing agents as traditional employees within our ecosystem. IDC shows that by 2028, right, this is what, 2-3 years from now, there will be 1.3 billion agents in the workplace. Right? These are new type of employees that are going to join the workplace. So all of us on the call today will participate to that 1.3 billion numbers, right? So leaders, 82% are saying that we are in the process of implementing this, right? We're going to have those agents into the workplace between 1 or 3 years. The great transformation that's happening right now is that those agents, when they first start, AI transformation, it was all about generating text, responding to questions, being basically an AI assistant. So we see now they're now moving slowly to be more of a task agent, right? Like Cowork. We talk about Cowork in a few minutes. This is where transformation really start happening. Company are moving above just using as AI as a FAQ responses type of agent, having an agent that actually deliver tasks for the organization. Next slide. So we call those companies that really leverage AI, right? The frontier firm. And the frontier firm success framework is based on those 4 things that you see on the slide right now. Any organization really have 4 priorities, right? Your people, your employees, obviously your customer at the centers, your processes, and your product. So what the frontier firms are doing, they say, hey, for our employees, we really want to enrich their experiences. We want to leverage AI in the manners that would drive true innovation back to our employees. We obviously want to use AI to save them time, but we want them to use that time to do real innovation work. So now they can use AI, not just as an assistant, but as a thought partners. But the most important thing for those frontier firms is that all employees must be treated equal. We can no longer just give AI to one employee, or let's say, on this call, Ray has AI, Jason doesn't have it, Eddie doesn't have it. It's just not the way they think of it. They look at it as, again, intelligence on top, it should be provided to everybody. It's like electricity. You cannot just say, hey, in this company, Eddie, you have electricity, Jason, you don't, right? Same for this company. They want every employee to leverage AI to be more efficient and be more productive. They want, obviously, to use that to completely transform the customer engagement at every single touch point, right? If the customer contacts us on email, on phones, or on chat, or even go to the stores, we want to use AI to anticipate customer needs. AI is not just for them a quick chatbot on the same slide, sorry, a quick chatbot to just drive this conversation. If you go back to the same slide, right? So these are on the customer side. Processes, then leveraging AI to completely transform the business processes, right? The company DNA is really their processes. If you have 2 companies that have the same product line, the same level of employees expertise, the processes will be the differentiator. What those frontier firms are doing, they say, hey, our business processes were not meant for AI era, right? Most processes today are deterministics. AI, by nature, is not deterministics. So you need to bring that on the deterministic thing in your processes thinking. So they're reshaping the processes to ensure that those processes has AI in mind. Last but not least, they understand the value of AI. AI drive fast innovation. Right? Most companies that deliver AI today use AI to bring their product to market faster. So they're using AI to bend the curve of innovation. Speed, 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 speed. Iteration. So they iterate, go to market, fix, and continue. These are the 4 pillars that they're doing. Employees experiences, customer experiences, processes, and products. So why are we always talking about the frontier firm? Why are we putting them on the front? Because as I mentioned, these are the companies where we clearly see that their impact on the top line, right? Because this has been the challenge for most of the leaders on the call today is, hey, how do I justify my AI investment? You have the framework. You have to follow what the frontier firms are doing. 88% of them are seeing real top line growth improvement, right? So the issue that we see is that companies still have not redesigned the work like the frontier firms are doing, right? So we're going to show you in a few seconds now, in the next slide, if you don't mind, what the frontier firms are doing that we all need to apply to get on the same place. So they say, hey, in our company, we're going to have 3 patterns that you're going to see across the company. First thing, as we mentioned, every employee must have an assistant. So we give AI to every single employee, but as an assistant, right? And he will have his own personal assistant that I can, leverage to get my work done, save me time, summarize my email, attend my meeting on my behalf. But that's my personal assistant. And this is where Copilot chat normally really comes and sits. It's my personal assistant because he understands me as an employee, but he's really there to assist me. Pattern 2 is where we see the progression really starting happening. It's where we're bringing AI in the company, not just as an assistant, but as a real teammate, an employee that does specific tasks, like researcher agent, right? Researcher agent is a high consulting-like employees that's going to be in your enterprise only focusing on doing research for the company, or analysts, for instance, right? So they are bringing agent in the enterprise to do specific tasks. So we're going beyond just assistant to having those as an employee that will be there to help Eric. If I want to do a research on EquiTech, I call my researcher agent assistant and ask them, hey, please do that research for me, right? And the last one that you see on the right side is where they say, hey, in the future, not too far, and we see it today, as the model continues to evolve, the role of a human will be only to lead those agents. So human will lead and agent will operate, right? So 3 patterns like we're saying. First is everybody need to have an assistant. That's table stakes today. Because the models are evolving, we're moving more and more into a place where we want them to also do tasks for us. But we have this a little bit on, more of in the control phase, which say, I'll bring agent, but only for those specific tasks. I still want to be in control. And as they become more and more smart and better, we give them more and more autonomy, but they need to earn that autonomy. But when they get that autonomy, our role become elevated. We all become, leader of agents, but that's what the frontier firms are doing, right? So baseline, chat for everybody, task, Copilot, Cowork, and Microsoft Scout is our version of the pattern 3 where human-led and agent operate on our behalf. Next slide, please. So what really causing the shift to pattern 3 and pattern 2, right? So because, remember, pattern 1 is the ChatGPT moment, right? Where we have an assistant that answered our question. With Copilot, we made that assistant more personalized. That's the difference because he understands me, he knows my office application, he knows where I live. So it's my assistant that is personalized to me. But it was mostly reactive. I asked a question, he answered back to me. He's not taking any action on my behalf. We're moving more to pattern 2 where we have dedicated agent that does tasks that can complete things on my behalf, either directly or led by me. That change happened, why? Because we saw the evolution. As I mentioned, 2022, ChatGPT, AI was really good at generating data, generating text. That's where they started. And now we start seeing the model evolving from text generation to more of a reasoning model, right? The O3 model was the first one that really started this. And Claude-Powered as well. And now we are in a phase where those models can now also use tools. This is where Cowork and Microsoft Scout really start doing things, right? If you want your LLM to do tasks for you, they must be able to use tools, right? Use your CRM, make payment on your behalf. That's what, to the user MCP protocol, for instances, they can do this, right? So you went from LLM that will only generate text to LLM that can reason, that moves us to the pattern 2, and now to an LLM that can also use tools like we're using tools. It can actually go to the website, computer use, right? It's a tool as well, and then complete form on my behalf. Right? We really move away from the first generation that was purely about responding to text to an LLM today that has, tool users. And because of that change, this is why you see that we're moving slowly but surely from AI assistant to more of an AI doers. Again, this is where Cowork, researcher, analysts, Microsoft Scout are starting to drive really value. And we believe that this is where the true value really comes from a firm. Once we start having agent that does things for us, and we can now spend our time on strategic discussion, that's where the value is. So if you want this, you need choice. If you want to have a frontier firm intelligence, you want to have choice when it comes to model, because as I mentioned, you want different things. If you are on the assistant model, hey, you just want text generation. But if you're on the task pattern 2 of Vision, you want a model that can do tasks. It can be OpenAI, Anthropic. If you're on autopilot pattern 3, same thing. You want a model that can use tools as well, right? So Claude-Powered, OpenAI Codex as well. So as a company, I want that choice. I do not want to be locked into one, because the frontier firm, as I mentioned, things are absolutely fluid. With Microsoft, we give you that option. So depending where you are, you're going to be there. So this is fantastic, right? So frontier firm understand this. They understand the need for have a choice in terms of model, but they also understand that pattern 1 tells us what? That everybody must have AI, right? Every employee. Guess what? Employee themselves understand this. So what they're doing today, they're asking their organization, hey, we need to have, let's say, Copilot licenses, an IT leader, or or maybe the CFO coming back and say, hey, we don't have budget. Employee does not go back and say, okay, that's fine. What they're doing is that they go back and they bring their own AI tool in the organization. So we actually saw that 75% of tools today in the org are consumer tools. And this is a major risk for organization, right? Again, the frontier firm concept is no longer just a concept from the for the org. The employee understand this. They want those AI tools because they understand how AI can make them, can augment them. So they ask, if they don't get, they bring their own AI tool into the enterprise. Consumer tool most of the time that they're using at home. And now the risk for the company is that now they can expose your data to the outside world. Again, not because they have nefarious intent, it's because they just want to be productive. This is why it's absolutely important to understand that. The frontier firm is no longer just at the org level. The employee understand that AI need to be part of their day-to-day work, and they must have this, right? So these are the risks that the company need to look at. So shadow AI is really one of the key risks that AI is bringing, because of course it's very smart, but you also need to treat it with the utmost respect when it comes to security. That's why it's really important for organizations to really understand their current state, to see what has been used, and really meet their employees where they are. Employees today must have AI. It should no longer be a discussion. We just need to ensure that they have the right AI for the right task for them. Next slide. So this slide clearly summarizes again the success framework that says, employees, customers, processes, and products. But what we add there is that for this to happen, you need obviously intelligence. So the latest and greatest model. You need choices, as we clearly show, because obviously, if you want a task agent, different model. If you want, an autonomous agent, maybe a different model. If you just want an assistant, maybe a different model. Every time that you build an agent, you have to look at, obviously, accuracy, cost. They have variable you need to take into account, and depending on what you're trying to build, then different models. So, from intelligence perspective, we need choices. That's absolute table stakes. But intelligence without trust is a huge problem, right? For a company in New York, your most important priority, your priority number one, at least for Microsoft, is to mitigate the risk for your organization. It's all about security. For us at Microsoft, if we have two priorities, I do not need to call anyone. I don't need to call my manager or HR. I know exactly what I need to do. If it's a security risk, security is always number one. So that's what we're saying. For any organization that embark in their frontier firm transformation, you want the latest and greatest intelligence. We absolutely agree on this, but that intelligence must be trusted, right? It's very important to do this. So this is what we see companies that are doing this today are seeing impact. So you can clearly see that, from developer efficiencies, for our productivity by 30%. Accenture just recently, because of what they've seen, deploy Copilot for over 743,000 users. Right? If this is good for Accenture, it's good for everybody on the board. But they did it because they clearly see how Copilot was able to really give their employee times back. 95% of Accenture employees say that Copilot saved them major time on some of the basic tasks, right? Really great game. Itachi, the customer support got improved by 40%. So what you see on the slide is that when frontier firm is implemented the right way, you're not just impacting one department. You're not just impacting one industry. It really touches any industry, any department, because at the core, the message is AI is a general purpose technology. It's not just meant for one industry. That's what we all need to understand. But if we implement it the right way, That's how we can reach those goals on any department, any industry, as long as we follow the frontier firm concept. That's why Microsoft Copilot is really the platform that you need to do if you really want to make it in that frontier firm mindset, right? Because what we talked about, we need intelligence. Work IQ is Microsoft intelligence layer that allow you to elevate what the LLM gives you. You want agentic workplace, right? As I mentioned, today, agentic AI is part of reality. Copilot allows you to do this. You can have Copilot as your assistant or Copilot as an agent as well that you can use. Multi-model choice, intelligence has to have multi-choice because you might not have the same requirement for all your agent need, right? So depending on what you need, maybe that model might be better. So this is part of Microsoft AI. You need an agent platform to build either your own agent or to discover existing agent. Microsoft has it. And most importantly, as I mentioned, intelligent without trust is just not going to cut it. All of this use Microsoft Security Management Foundation as the baseline. That's why we believe that if you really want to implement the frontier firm to reach the same benefits that they've seen in terms of their top line growth, you need AI that is built for work, not for consumer space. Please look at what your employees are doing today. Beware of shadow AI, right? Give them AI that is built for work based on those 5 tenets: intelligence, agentic work, multimodal, agent platform, and more importantly, security. Thank you very much, Jason. That was my last slide. I'm going to hand it over to you to continue with the rest of the presentation.
Thank you, Eric. Indeed, AI and being a frontier firm, AI has to be incorporated into all your processes, utilizing agentic work, multi-models, and having proper security and governance across the board. Thanks, Eric. Now we're going to go to the governance layer and who's watching over our AI and how can we scale AI safely. As we know, there's different risks that have arisen, right, across the Middle East, globally, and PwC released article which showcased that 75% of Middle East employees are using AI, and equally this is the same globally. So it's not something which is an option. It's necessity to stay in the curve with your industry. So employees are using AI, they're adopting it in a very fast manner, and everyone is using it in a day-to-day on their day-to-day work. So how can we scale AI responsibly? And the real challenge is not only how to adopt, but of course adoption is key, but also how to have the right governance, guardrails, and visibility of our agents, of our AI particulars that are present within our organization, and how to reduce the risk of exposure, oversharing, and other risks that are there. Now, why this matters now? Because, as you know, there's different jurisdictional requirements within the Middle East, within Europe, within UK, the US, that mandate us to properly utilize AI from a privacy, security, data perspective. So it's not, the question is not anymore whether to use AI, is how to use it in a responsible and secure manner. So just wanted to give a background on the different jurisdictional requirements within the Middle East, be it the UAE Personal Data Protection Law, or the KSA, SADAYA, PDPL, or the Personal Data Protection Law, in addition to other areas within the data privacy, protecting of personal data. When it comes to data governance and data management, there is the UAE DGE data management policy, in addition to the National Data Management Office requirements from NDMO, and of course, DAMA, which is the governance and management standard and handbook. From a cybersecurity perspective, there's also requirements, best practices, be it ISO 27001, but also regional jurisdictional requirements like the National Cybersecurity Authority in KSA, and of course, the Cybersecurity Council requirements, the Department of Health or ADEX, healthcare specific requirements. And as a whole, there's the AI requirements around the EUA Act or the ISO 42001, in addition to the SADAYA AI ethics principles and the UAE Charter of Development and Use Cases for AI. Now, when we're talking about AI, AI strategy will encompass all of these. So from a data readiness, we're talking about the proper data governance and data management, and having a single source of truth to be ready towards implementing AI and having the data ready, be it security as a foundation, aligning with the best practices, but also having that foundation, your infrastructure, be it ready for PaaS and IaaS solutions in addition to SaaS. And of course, the culture and the use case prioritization and AI governance across. Now, I gave this background just to say that governing AI is key. Having the right principles by design, ensuring human oversight, ensuring accountability, ensuring privacy and utilization of personal data in the right way, and of course, having the right guardrails aligned with the jurisdictional requirement I was talking about earlier. Having proper strategy and having the right policies, having the right people and culture, who owns which solution, who owns the underlying data for proper role-based access. Do we know what's data and what's AI from a literacy perspective, having trainings, change management, communication, even having the controls on top of our AI particulars, being able to classify based on risk, being able to properly put controls on the AI lifecycle, and of course, having the right data quality to ensure we don't have garbage in, garbage out, especially for AI. Now, when it comes to governance, with Microsoft Stack, Agent 365 protects the agents and ensures that we can answer the questions that you can see on the screen. So who is tracking and monitoring all our agents? Who is actually like having the right, do we have the right guardrails on our agents? Do we have the right agents protected? Do they have the right access? What are the knowledge sources that are mapped to those agents? Are there any potential leakage or data exfiltration that are happening with the agents? So having Agent 365, which is the technology that governs and protects our agents, having a registry of our agents, the data of the agents and the underlying access control and who has access, and of course having the right visibility on our agents. Now, Agent 365 supports in monitoring and managing agents in real time. What are the agents utilized within my organization? To which third parties are they interconnected or integrated? And having the right risk signals in case of any issues. Even governing throughout the life cycle of AI, all the agents and ensuring the right controls are embedded across the life cycle. I'll talk about that quickly before I hand over to Ray, and ensure the proper protection of our agents and having the right visibility, protection, and risk mitigation across the board. Now, when we're talking about Agent 365, it's key to know that when we're talking about AI particulars, we're talking about integration with our existing security stack and ensuring there's proper security protection, be it through Microsoft Purview or Entra ID or Intune or Defender, etc. Ensuring our IaaS and PaaS AI solutions, but also our SaaS AI solutions, such as Copilot, are protected from oversharing, from exfiltration of data, having the right classification and the right application protection and threat protection on the SaaS applications and the SaaS AI solutions. Agent 365 adds a layer to govern the agents that are non-human identities and non-human agents and ensuring the right control. Now, before I hand over to Ray, I just wanted to mention how organizations are deploying AI agents today and the proper adoption towards AI. Let's take it step by step. If you see the top part of the slide, AI agent lifecycle, initially, there's an importance of ideating with the business, ensuring that it's not a technical discussion, it's a strategic discussion. What are AI agents that are strategically aligned with the business or line of business objectives? Having an inventory or AI design thinking workshops to identify what are those AI use cases, to which applications or systems or knowledge sources are they integrated? What technology are we going to use? Are we going to use Copilot, Copilot Studio, AI Foundry? Perhaps the use cases collected from the business are not even AI, they're robotic process automation. So knowing that is key. Very important to understand based on the use case, the feasibility. From a data feasibility, is the data ready? Do we have the data or not? Is it risky use case? Yes or no? Aligned to the EU AI Act and the OECD principles and the SADAYA and the UAE strategy. In addition to that, having an understanding of the business impact. Will this use case have a proper business impact on the line of business? And the complexity, this is the technical team to know if it's complex or not. And then aligning with the right scoring. So based on the use cases aligned with the business prioritization, because we don't want to implement AI directly across the board. We start in phases to ensure proper adoption and proper prioritization. Quick wins to be tackled quickly through Copilot, for instance. Other more complex AI solutions to be put as a strategic initiative, so on and so forth. The most important thing is to reduce cost, ensure optimization, to enhance efficiency, and to ensure that the enterprise value across the board, and to have the tech ready and the data ready. Now, something that is key, agents that are getting created have knowledge sources embedded into them. And Eric was talking about the different models, the Anthropic Claude models, the OpenAI latest models, choosing the right models, and as well, there's auto feature to choose the right model based on the task and based on the prompt. But very important to have the proper knowledge source, the proper data, and the right orchestration as we were talking through AI. Now, when it comes to having the different pre-built AI particulars within Microsoft stack, it's good to know what was mentioned by Eric, the traditional operating model where leaders has functions, teams, embedding AI to each and every human, and now we're in an agentic operating model where agents are there supporting the human and ensuring proper oversight, and end-to-end processes are automated and utilizing AI for proper enhancement of our day-to-day operations. Now, lastly, there's different pre-models or pre-agents to be utilized, like Cowork, like Researcher, like Analysts. Those will be discussed by Ray in the live demo. And over to you, Ray, to take us through the live demo and show the actual value of the technology. Over to you, Ray.
Sure. Thanks, Jason. Let me just hand over the screen to myself. So we've talked a lot about the capabilities. We've talked a lot about theoretically how we are working today, the shift in the operating models, like Jason said, how agentic AI is a priority now, like Eric said. But let's just actually take a practical case and a hands-on scenario where we will be showing these capabilities, especially the new Claude features, live. So let's take a problem that most of you or any of you might have encountered. So how many of you have been handed a stack of documents like proposals, reports, contracts, and you've been told compare these and tell us what should we do by end of day? Okay, let's say your manager speaking. So keep that in mind, because that is exactly what we're going to do in the next 20 minutes almost, live with real documents to be used. So here's the problem in one picture. Let me pull up my pen. We are trying again today, turning a pile of complex documents into something a leader can act on. It takes days. Every output, like the spreadsheets, the memo, the deck, is built from scratch separately by different people. And too often the brief lands after the moment to act. So we're late with Copilot, and specifically with the new Claude models and its features inside Copilot. That becomes minutes, okay, instead of days to act. One prompt, every format, and it happens before you're asked anything by your line managers, for example. Now, we keep mentioning Claude and maybe the GPT models. So before we touch a single document in our practical cases, one foundational thing that's new and that most people miss, inside Microsoft 365 Copilot, you now can choose your model. So two are included with your existing license, GPT models, the latest being 5.5, the default, and Claude. The picker is in the chat and we'll show this live, okay? And these Claude models are also across a whole host of other applications and tools. So they're both excellent. I'm not taking anything away from either one. They have different capabilities for different jobs. For fast everyday work, let's say, quickly drafting documents, summaries, coding, GPT is a great default, but for reading long, messy, risk, including a set of documents and reasoning across all of them, and creating new content and data in one go from this base document that you're ingesting into Copilot, Claude subprocessor is the one you reach for. So let me show you the differences. The differences and the capabilities that we'll be walking through is Copilot with Claude in its regular chat, using the model counseling and researcher, Cowork feature, which is one of the new standalone features within Copilot, and how we can actually leverage Claude inside the different daily productivity tools that we often use. Okay, so let's show you the difference again rather than just assert this. So I'll be switching over to my own Copilot experience, right? I have pre-actual written prompts that are just proposed today. So just for the sake of time, our scenario today is looking at Northwind, a sound company. And we're choosing a vendor from a company-wide training platform. 4 proposals came in, and these are not toy documents that we've ingested inside our Copilot chat when we have chosen the GPT model as our sub-processor. So just to have a very brief look at what I'm talking about, we are ingesting a document that looks like this, okay, into Copilot, along with other 4 similar documents, okay? So switching back to Copilot. The pages of pricing that we saw that is in these documents, the pages of legal fine print for different vendors, for different formats, right? Now, I asked the exact same questions to both models, which we will see live. For each vendor, the headline cost and the single biggest risk hidden in these terms, and tell me, Copilot, whether the cheapest on paper is actually the cheapest based on your understanding and ingestion of these documents. Here's GPT's answer. Fast, clean, accurate, on the numbers, spot on. It tells me Skillforge vendor is the cheapest at 56,000, okay? While Lumen might be the best in terms of commercial versus value and baseline. So genuinely useful for quick orientation, and that's GPT. Now, using the same exact prompt, identical with the same ingested documents, within using the Claude Opus model as a sub-processor, we can look at what it pulled out. Skillforge might be is priced per registered user, not active, details like within 2000 users minimum. Whatever these details are, at the end Claude is telling you so that you pay for everyone whether they log in or not. So basically what we're trying to do, showing these details, the price escalation, the service level agreement details, and the mandatory onboarding fields, so on and so forth. What the point is here is that it reads the clause and the vendor proposals, and actually checks this fine print across all 4 separate documents, and told me that the cheapest option, okay, is actually the most expensive and riskiest, okay? Same Copilot, same prompt, one model choice, and that is why for this kind of work, you might choose Claude for that detailed drill down of the fine print, and that's what we're looking for. Now, that being said, we've seen how sub-processors work inside a regular chat. How about if we use one of the pre-built agents, which is the researcher agent delivered by Microsoft? As you can see here, I'll go to the history of a prompt I ran earlier, which is the researcher webinar answer, just for the sake of showing the difference that prior in the regular chat, I had a fast read. But this is a decision I have to defend to leadership on which vendor I'm choosing. I don't want to stake it on a single model, either GPT's answer or Claude's answer separate in different chat. This is researcher, and the point of researcher, it can run on what is called model counseling. It sends the same question which vendor should we recommend, to Claude and GPT in parallel. And it does its own deep research and writes a full report, okay, on both models actively. So you can see here the GPT answer, and then in parallel you can see the Claude answer. The difference is that the output that the researcher agent gives you is a summary where they showing where the both models agree, where both models don't agree, and which one uniquely contributes to the final decision. So both models, okay, let me close this up. Both models independently landed on Lumen, which is one of the vendors, okay? But notice how they got there differently. One weighted probably the data residency and compliance risk. The other led with 3-year total cost trajectory, for example. The point is the two frontier models, GPT and Claude, agree on their own. I can walk into the boardroom now with real confidence of the answer I'm trying to give on which vendor I chose. Where they diverge, it hands me the exact questions to pressure test before I commit. This is a defensible recommendation now and not just an idea that I came up with. So the model counseling really gets the best of both worlds. Now, don't forget, so far, I've showed you how Copilot has helped me think, orient, then decide on decisions. Now, based on these different tools right here, everything from here produces real finished work. The spreadsheets, the business cases, the decks, the emails, the dashboards created for me and not by me. So what do I mean by this? Let's leverage the power of Cowork, which has the ability again to produce multiple business outcomes, not just like a regular chat. You can really pressure this model to deliver a lot of outcomes, which we will see in action. So again, pre-written prompts pushed prior to this meeting. So let me just walk through the output. So think as well as the capability I'm trying to show, not the pure context or material at hand. So I told here Cowork to read all 4 proposals and produce a full evaluation. A normalized side by side, a 3-year total cost. Here's the normalized one. A 3-year total cost for each vendor, a weighted scoring matrix that ranks them, the key risks side by side, and a clear recommendation on what I should do next. From 4 messy, detailed, heavy documents to one structured analysis that is purely drilling down into everything. For the front runner, the actual vendor that I chose, I want to build a negotiation pack, okay? The exact clauses to push back on and the questions to get answered in writing before I actually sign this agreement. So it went back to the fine print of this vendor and pulled specific terms. So the clauses to push back on, what you should fix, what not to fix, the confirm and maybe tidy questions to send before, and any fallback if they won't move on these clauses, right? Again, drilling down with intense logic on the outcome of what I want. But here's the interesting part. And this one, if you remember, I said generating files. And that from that single instructions that I asked before, and from this prompt that is purely simplified, Copilot Cowork produces an Excel scoring model, a Word business case, and a PowerPoint decision deck, all at the same time delivered for me in one single go, as you can see here. That the thing that used to be 3 people's work and 3 people's maybe mandate and 2 days to get it and multiple maybe even prompts in a regular chat to obtain this information was done in a single command to Cowork. And you can see the outcome. So just to show you that this is a verifiable actual outcome, you can see this is the business case that was produced by Cowork. This is the actual, what do you call it? The deck for, let's say, the negotiation pack. This is the Excel sheet that I was mentioning earlier with the scoring matrix and the summary of what vendor was chosen with the right figures all inputted. So this is a viable outcome, tidy, neat, straight to the point, actually achieving the objective of showing what I want to management, right? And the point is I can keep going with the actions. Now I have what I need. I want to draft follow-up emails. The note to the steering committee asking them for sign-off, right? The conditional award to the winning vendor, opening negotiations, the flagged terms, and so on. So I told Copilot to do that exact action, draft for me the emails, place them in my inbox, and let me be the one ready to send them when the appropriate time comes. So I'll show you how it immediately placed everything in my draft folder, mentioning all the vendors that I want to talk about, what I agreed on, what not I agreed on. The whole point is actually doing these actions autonomously, right? Finally, I want a view, a single dashboard of the whole exercise that I did, the scores, the costs, the risks, the recommendations. I want it as a page I can put on my screen, and I want Copilot to deliver this. So we actually get this vendor evaluation dashboard showing the performance, the weighted scoring matrix. This is something that you can share to management, have a clean, tidy dashboard view of everything and the whole exercise that we did. Now, you might mention something to me that is along the lines of, okay, but I don't want to do this exercise every time I have a vendor. So what I can do is actually teach Claude something called skills, okay? So everything you just watched ran off of a detailed set of instructions. I don't want to write these instructions again the next quarter that I'm supposed to do this. So I'm going to ask Cowork to turn what we just did into a skill. A skill in Copilot Cowork is exactly the same idea as maybe if you've used a skill in Claude. It is a reusable playbook you teach to Cowork once. It'll ingest the steps, the scoring approach, everything that we just did. You save it, and from then on, you don't need to re-explain to Cowork anything else. So the next quarter, I don't repeat a single thing you just saw today. I just say to Cowork a simple sentence, evaluate these proposals. Point it to the pile of files, and it'll run the whole workflows and produce everything that I just asked. The work didn't just get done once. The expertise and understanding got captured by Cowork, and that's the line between a tool you operate and a teammate, which is Cowork, that gets better every time you use it. Okay? Now, we said again, don't forget we want to show the skills inside these applications. So let's run through them. So I'll start with Excel and what I did inside Excel. So this is the original list, if you remember, with the TCOs, the scoring, and the summary. Again, no need to know what these terms might be, but the whole point is the output. Let me show you what I did in actually Copilot using Claude in Excel. Okay, let's run through them. Cowork created these files. Now, the last mile, refining them, refining the output, maybe tidying these things, maybe adding something that I forgot, okay? So Cowork handed me the scoring matrix, right? And as you can see here, the first thing that I asked Copilot is to give it one instruction using the Claude model that I can pick out from up top. I want to build an executive dashboard. This is before and this is the after, a ranked summary of all the vendors, highlighting KPIs, decisions, all made and all shown on screen. So as you can see here, priorly I didn't have an executive dashboard, but now I do, encompassing all this information at a glance for my reporting. Okay, I didn't write a single formula to produce this. You could see everything that the prompt outputted and created a new sheet. Then maybe I want one more ask. Okay, I want for each vendor to build a 3-year cost, including every mandatory add-on escalation process. So I'm asking it to do some manual or automatic thinking to give me this, let's say, cost outline, okay, and any gaps that I need to see. So you could see here, Copilot actually gave me this headline, the true 3-year cost of all these vendors, ranked, any risks flagged, with visuals in order to help me understand and digest this information even better. That's in Excel using the Claude models. Now, let's jump to Word, for example. In Word, again, I have this original document. This is the business case with the summary, the approach that we have, the rationale, and so on. Pretty clear, pretty well done by Cowork when it gave it to me. What I instructed now in this new sheet, I just wanted to show the difference. That's why there's two Word documents. If you can see that in this new sheet, I asked it firstly to give me a board-ready business case, right? But After, I wanted the executive summary leading with recommendations to be rewritten, the vendor write-ups to have them clear, a comparison table, everything that I want to change, risk mitigations, okay? A linear document became a board paper in one pass using, again, Copilot within Word using the Claude models. So you can see here the executive summary, how it looks like, and you can see how the executive summary looks like here. It changed based on my input. Then from the same document, you could see this is my second prompt that I asked, that I showed it. Two more versions on request, a one-page CEO brief, recommendations with the CEO briefs, the risks, and so on, and the detailed procurement version with the clause level concerns. So one source, three audience, no need to rewrite it 3 times. I just asked this request from Copilot in Word using Claude, and these are the new sections that weren't included before, and this is for the different people I might want to share these documents with. This is the power of having, again, Copilot with Claude inside Word. Same mentality goes when I'm using PowerPoint. So these are skills that I can leverage. This is the original PowerPoint presentation, lengthy maybe changes that I need to make. I want afterwards to make changes. Maybe I want a title slide, an executive summary, leading with the problem, a comparison table, clean scorecards, a true cost versus headline slide, risks and mitigations, whatever it might be. I just simply ask PowerPoint using this Claude model. So let me show you what I did here. I, again, picked out the Claude model, started my prompting journey. It might ask me questions that I need to clarify before I proceed, but the whole point is I made changes. So if I put them side by side as a simple exercise, I trimmed things down, I changed the way the scoring matrix might look like. So I have these new slides all produced with a single, clear, exact prompt to get this business outcome. The whole point here, as a closing statement, where did we land? The pile that used to take days is now a board-ready decision pack, a comparison, a costed business case, a deck, the emails, the dashboards, cross-checked by 2 different models in about 15 minutes. Any analysis, any format, any team, okay, can use these features. The model picker is right there across Copilot, and for the heavy lifting, you know which model to choose. So let's take your questions after this. Jason, I'll hand it back over to you, and I hope this presentation and the examples were clear for everyone.
Thank you, Ray, for this insightful demo. Anyone has any questions related to what Ray showcased, related to what I showcased? What we're going to have now is question and answer time. We have 4 minutes on the question and answer. And in case you have any questions, I think the questions in the chat were tackled. Something that in the meantime that you can do, there's a Microsoft funded, responsible and secure AI readiness assessment. So if you're interested in doing that, seeing where you are as an organization when it comes to AI, and assess your data, assess your security, assess your use case ideation, design thinking workshops, if you have done them, etc. Please do scan this, and it's a funded workshop with Microsoft that can be done. At the same time, if you're interested in knowing more about the Copilot licensing, Copilot consumption of Cowork, because there was a question if Cowork is going to be priced, and if now it's getting priced. Now, no. If you've been part of the frontier Copilot adoption, then you are not going to be billed or priced extra. However, in July 1, what Eric sent is going to be effective. So the admins can put a threshold on the utilization to ensure the stability of utilization. Any questions, please feel free to do so, and we'll take them on the go. And please feel free to scan this barcode for a funded assessment across the board. Any questions in the chat? Let me check. Is there a training for prompt writing provided from Microsoft or partner? Yes, there is. As part of the Copilot adoption journey and the funded workshops, this would be tackled in one of the workshops. There's the workshop on end-to-end Copilot capabilities, deep dive, use case collection from the business, and a prompt engineering training. Thanks, Omar, for the question. Jawhar, how is Cowork's data residency issues addressed from a UE perspective? As I understand, Claude is a third party in this. Indeed, when it comes to data residency, so Copilot works within your tenant. And when it comes to data residency, data stays within your tenant. And when you're using AI, the model that you're using is staying within your tenant. So no sharing of data outside of the jurisdiction of UAE, for example, because Copilot is present within the UAE data center, and the features of Copilot are there. If you're using third-party models such as Anthropic models, this doesn't mean that the data is going through Anthropic. So the data remains within your tenant. The data that you have access, you would stay having access to it, and Copilot will have access to what you have access, and the model doesn't share data externally outside your tenant. Hope that answers the question, Jawhar. And Omar, please feel free to, again, I'm going to put the barcode on the screen again. Feel free to scan that, and we reach out to you for the prompt engineering session, which is funded by Microsoft. Okay. Perfect. One more minute. Any last questions? Again, thank you all for joining. Hope it was beneficial. We'll be sharing as well the recording and the email thanking you for joining, and in addition to the necessary outcomes of this webinar. Take care and have a great week ahead. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.